course, the finance minister just said today that political stability is key for India becoming the third largest economy. Do you think that is something which is key? Do you think, and again, I think that's part sometimes of the rhetoric around markets, that, markets will react a certain way if certain decisions are taken, and markets are somehow anti-welfare reforms. Do you think that narrative is true, that political stability or the same government is key for India to continue on this reforms path?
I definitely think that macroeconomic stability is required. Right? So what do we mean by macroeconomic stability? Just suppose I am setting up a factory. Now, if I cannot see beyond, say, 2 years, that I don't expect a certain level of inflation. See, high and volatile inflation is very disturbing. High and volatile or very volatile exchange rates, very volatile interest rates. If I have to set up a factory, I'll do 3 years of capex, and then over the next 7-10 years it will return back my investment. I need to have a reasonable visibility over the next 10-12 years before I actually invest. If I don't have that, I won't invest. So the longer, in fact, one entrepreneur recently told me that, the moment you see someone investing for 5 years, he's the one. Because there are very few people who can invest over that time period. To do that, you need to have visibility. You need to have stability. And I think the macroeconomic stability, the focus on fiscal discipline, the focus on making sure that inflation is within a range. We have struggled with some of the food prices going up and down because of tomatoes and pulses and all that. But by and large, the core inflation is now starting to settle down. And so that is one of the reasons why not just Indian entrepreneurs, but global corporates are also looking at India in a very different light, because we are no longer a part of the fragile five. Any global disruption, like, US yields have gone up. If it was the India of 2000 or India of 2005 or India of 2015, by now our markets would have been extraordinarily volatile, but that is not happening. So that macroeconomic stability, I think, is an absolutely essential feature for the economy to grow over the medium term. Is political stability required to deliver macroeconomic stability? I think to some extent, yes, because some of what we have seen at the state level in the recent quarters, in the recent years, this culture of freebies, this culture of 100 units of free power. In fact, this is a question which is worth asking. In India, the household rate of power price is the lowest in the world. The industrial power rates are the highest in the world. Right? How do you expect industry to be able to compete globally and therefore produce? And when they produce, of course, they create jobs. So the question we have to ask ourselves is it better to give free power to people, or is it better to give them jobs so that they can pay for it themselves? And I think bringing down industrial power tariffs and reducing the freebies will create jobs, because then these companies can compete globally. And so somehow that narrative has been lost at some of the states. The risk may be that, because at the state level, the deficits are capped. Right? So it's always a quality of expenditure issue instead of a quantity of expenditure issue. So if you are spending...
It's like old pension versus new pension.
Exactly. So if you're spending on old pension scheme, out of 140 crore people, you are investing in the households of 2 crore people. Right? It is made, the narrative is, oh my God, we have to guarantee pensions, but what about the rest of the people? Right? There are, if say, take an average household size of 5, these 2 crore workers in state and central and municipal governments will be supporting 10 crore people. What about the remaining 130 crore people? Right? Who guarantees their pension? And the fact that for some of the states, interest cost, salary cost of government employees and pension cost of government employees is already 60-65% of total expenditure, means that the healthcare of the poor, the education of the poor, the skilling of the poor, provision of basic facilities of the poor is missing, because you are ending up paying a very small fraction of the households. So, but it's still at a state level a quality of expenditure problem, meaning that by paying so much in salaries and pensions to a very small fraction of the population, you are spending all your resources on inappropriate things, and you're not investing enough on healthcare, education, roads, electricity, and so on and so forth. At the central level, there is no cap. So if these policies were to start getting implemented at the central level, then we will come back to, in 3 to 5 years, into the rupee being volatile, the current account deficit going out of control, and so on and so forth.